Go.
Hello, my name is Katie Manning, and welcome to Geeks Audio Heads, and have a lovely day, chucks. Hey!
Hey. Hello, this is Audio Geeks Assembled podcast about audio adventures of various kinds and various shapes. And this one we are doing is the second series of the Diary of River Song. It's really exciting and it's really amazing. And I'd like to get our panel to let you know what they thought about it and to rate it, and then we'll do some discussing about it in a second. Let's go over to Jason Pickering to start off this podcast. Jason?
Well, this story I listened to about a couple of weeks ago. Sorry, I guess my notes were deleted, but the ones I remembered of, the first story with River Song, with having the seventh daughter involved in this one. I guess there were some issues happening with them about losing their memory. And also, I guess, with one guy end up, I guess, getting killed in a way or turning into some kind of robot, cloning himself, which is what I remember of. But yeah, that's one thing I remember that episode. On the second episode, I remember was just with River helping out a family, trying to escape something like this around the whole like water area, like an ocean, something like that. And I guess people were disappearing in different time zones or something like that. I also remember on the third episode, it was involved with Colin Baker's daughter, the sixth daughter, who ended up having no idea what's really going on. Him being the owner of this place, that people were dreaming. But I guess in a way, when they were dreaming, they had some kind of creature inside the pods, and which was very unusual. But how River was reacting to the daughter, like, how are you not trying to figure this stuff out and all that. And yeah, it got pretty crazy, which River ended up figuring it out, and the daughter, she made him lose his memory of what she was. Then that ended up being the fourth episode with the seventh daughter and the sixth daughter, which had some funny moments with that. My favorite was when the River was slapping the sixth daughter. I definitely remember that one. But it was with some creature. I probably was a different story, but that's probably pretty much it if I remember with this one. But it was definitely I definitely enjoyed this one. I would definitely say it's that, of my opinion.
All right. Well, thank you, Jason. And what would you rate it out of 10?
I would rate this a 9 out of 10.
Very good.
Definitely
Thank you.
Brilliant on all of them.
And let's go to Beef Dad. What did you think of the second box set of Diary of River Song?
I loved it. I really got involved in it. At no point did I get bored. I particularly enjoyed the first one. That was a bit of a hoot. But they never really explained what it was that was killing everybody on Earth. You were just left guessing, and it was a little bit iffy, shall we say? But yeah, I particularly like the idea of the old man, the old lady having an AI daughter. That really, I love that. That really, it did it for me. Yeah. And then, of course, you've got Golden Futures, the dreaming one, with the creatures that feed off of dreams. Excellent idea. Not entirely original. I've heard of things like that before. And the last one of the set with the two doctors it was just hysterical. I really loved that. Yeah, there was some real humour, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, so for me it gets a 9.
Thank you, Beef Dad. Let's go to Tim Wells. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I think it's what I like the most is the idea that there's this universal crisis that is destroying like this planet, and that they're all coming at it from the back door and not knowing that anybody else is involved. That's the fun part, is that River doesn't know that these doctors are there. They don't know that she's there because they don't know who she is yet, of course. They don't know that each other are there. So it's all kind of like they're all coming at the problem from a different angle, and then they finally get their act together, I guess, by episode 4. This is the second time that she's engaged with previous doctors, and while it's fun to do, I guess, for the box set and have these things happen, it's kind of a shame that they always have to lose their memories at the end. So because the first doctor she meets is, of course, the 10th doctor, and he doesn't know who she is. Every time she interacts with anybody before him, it has to be they have to lose their memories in some way, and that's kind of funny. But I don't think they can keep that up for much longer. I think they need to have her on her own set without a doctor at some point, just to do something different, because she was also heavily involved in the last 8th Doctor set, Doom Coalition 3, and it worked in that too. But it was, again, you had to come up with some device so that they wouldn't know each other. So it was a lot of fun though, this set. I'd give it a 9 as well.
Thank you, Tim. How about you, Lee? What do you think of River Song, the second set?
I think it's a brilliant box set. The stories work so well together as you go along. You've got the first story with the 7th Doctor, with the memory loss and all like that. That is brilliant. For me, the second story was far superior than the first, with the 529, it was called, with the family and the artificial intelligence, Rachel, which we never really found out what happened to her. Because after this story, you only hear from her at the end of the 4th story, right at the end of the 4th story. But yeah, it was a very lovely story, that, with the family and, the set out onto the ocean, and, that was a brilliant story. And then you had the dream one, the World Enough and Time with the 6th Doctor. As Beef Dad said, it's that sort of premise of a story has been done many a time before, but it's done really well here. And for me, I think River Song quite fancies the 6th Doctor. She's got a soft spot for the 6th Doctor, by the way, and they work so well together. It's a very good story. And then you've got the 4th one, the Eye of the Storm, with 7th and the 6th. Just some good fun bits in there. Of course, slapping the doctors and also losing the memories and forcing the 7th Doctor to lose his memory, because he's a bit wily, that one. He knew what she was doing with the poison tea. But yeah, all in all, a very good box set. It's always good fun to have 6 and 7 work together, because they do work well together in audio, and with Alex Kingston along for the ride, I can't fault it. It dipped for me on the first story, it did, but the 2nd, 3rd and 4th story are brilliant, so for that I'm giving it a 9 as well.
Thanks, Lee. Let's see. I thought that the stories were well crafted. I loved the writing in them. I thought that that the four different writers were I mean, they had a chance to shine in their own way and do their own thing, and that was really cool. So as the four separate writers, or as the four separate stories went, it was really delightful. The thing that really captured my imagination really was the way that the doctor was never, it wasn't like a doctor heavy thing. It was like everything kind of alluded to him, and then they discovered that it was that the doctor was there, but it wasn't like, oh, the doctor's going to save us all. It was like, let's solve this together. Let's do this together. And that was remarkable. And I think that was the same way the first set was, and it was the way Doom Coalition. It was not the way Doom Coalition was. Sorry, it was pointed in a different direction, and so that was really cool. And so I too will give it a 9 out of 10, and I will open the floor up, and I need to step away for a second.
But the second story was kind of interesting because it was just like a four-hander, and it was an interesting diversion because you have that loud, bangy first story, and this one's just a quiet incident with one family. But the point was to show you how this disaster is affecting the planet from their small viewpoint, and it's very tragic too because there's nothing she can do. So
it was much more psychological.
Yeah,
and I thought that's what really appealed to me with it, because you had to think, and and basically the whole thing ended up being a race against time.
Yeah.
I just loved the bit, I loved the bit with the seagulls just dropping out of the sky.
Yeah, and I thought it was a clever way to show how this universal tragedy affects one small family. You know, and like you said, it's interesting they have an AI daughter, and they want to do everything to keep her alive, which is a backward way of looking at a tragedy. But I mean, it's a very interesting story. My first thought when I got to that point in the set was finished with part 2, I was thinking, well, that was a bit, I mean, of a slowdown, but I think that was the point. They wanted to show you how a tragedy can affect one small family, and I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah. And of course, with River there, she was doing her damnedest to find out what she could do to try and rescue them. And eventually they say, no, rescue our daughter. Or as you said, she's AI, for goodness sakes. But it goes to show how you can become very fond of technology.
I mean, going to the third story, the Weldon Up and Down, it's the doctor doesn't really know what's going on. He's been there for how many years in charge of this company, and by the end of it, he doesn't know what to do. Everything's falling apart, and he just goes to pieces. He doesn't. I mean, that is very undoctor-like, and the way it was all acted out and brilliant. It was just brilliant. Colin Baker just got it down just right. And as I said before, the partnership with the Sixth Doctor and River Song works so well together. Really does. Hopefully, not too soon, but hopefully in the future they may pair them up together again. I hope so. I do hope so. Just those two.
I definitely could tell by the Sixth Doctor having himself a bit of an interest with with River Song on the fourth story, or not the fourth story, but the third story, which I was like, oh, what's going on here? But with the fourth one, I did not mention about the part with Wibble seeing the 6 and 7, and she was like, "How you two should not supposed to be," like trying to tell them that this isn't supposed to be in the same time zone.
The funny thing, the funny thing is that if the three had met before the story started, they could have worked it all out really quickly. Half of the fun is that they don't know each other is there, and so they keep on working against each other in different ways. And I think that was the clever point of the set.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, we've had episodes with 5 doctors in before, so two getting together is not going to cause a big hassle.
And these two also already know each other. They've met before many times, and I think, as the Sixth Doctor said, he's staying off. He's trying to keep away from turning into him as long as he can, which was a good lad. I like that. It's brilliant. But Colin and Sylvester together, brilliant.
Yeah, I must confess, Sylvester McCoy really in this was, for a Doctor, a most unsympathetic character. I didn't find him a sympathetic character at all.
Well, I think it depends on where. I think his Doctor, as he goes on and on and on, gets a bit more and more cynical. I think that's part of his personality. That's the way they did it in the books back. That's the way Big Finish kind of does it too. There's a point. There's a point of episodes where he's actively kind of looking for a new companion. It seems like, and he has temporary ones, one after the other, and they all say, no, I'm not going anywhere with you. That kind of thing. So it's like I think he gets a bit more bitter as he goes on. Although he looks quite happy when he steps out in where is it? New York City? No, California.
San Francisco
when he gets shot.
But the Seventh Doctor was getting a bit darker in his last season on TV anyway. Yeah. So
I think they carried that on too with a lot of the audios. He's always the guy that knows everything and always knows what's going to happen next a lot of times. And it really pisses off his friends sometimes. Remember how often Ace gets mad at him? Like, you know exactly what's going on, but you don't want to tell anybody. That kind of thing. She gets really upset with him sometimes. Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny to see him not knowing.
Yeah, the master manipulator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing that really I liked was, that hasn't been mentioned, was it when the 2 doctors were there with her. She's like, I've always dreamed of this, but it wasn't you two. I mean, that was so snarky. Oh my gosh.
So who were the 2 then she was dreaming of? Oh. Right. Who? I don't know.
We don't always know what she knows, because remember in the other set, she's very upset when she realizes the 8th Doctor is around, because she says, I'm not supposed to meet that guy at all. I mean, I'm not supposed to. It'll mess up everything or something. So she takes great pains not to meet the 8th Doctor. And then, of course, a year later, she's in his box set, and they don't ever know who each other is, I don't think. Or she knows it's him, but he doesn't know her. Something like that. So yeah. It's interesting that she has a lot of foreknowledge. She knows that she can hang out with 6 and 7 if she wants to, and she gets away with it as long as they don't remember her. But it'll be interesting to see if they continue. I mean, is she going to meet 5, maybe 4? You never know. Maybe 3.
You bet they will. 5 and 4 will be next on the list. Can you just imagine there with Tom Baker?
Yeah, I can. It's a scary thought.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
And the bashful 5th Doctor.
Oh yes. Yes, he would be an interesting combination, should we say?
So, any final things that anybody would like to add to this? Because some of us have to go rather rapidly.
Yes, congratulations on your engagement.
Oh, thank you. That was quite nice.
Well, as far as the set goes, I say keep them coming. They're entertaining. I mean, and there's, I think it's really great that Big Finish continues to put out so much product, so much high quality product. I mean, that we can enjoy.
High quality. That's the real thing about it. The quality. You never ever drops. It's really
Big Finish will never die. They'll keep getting the renewal of the contract. There's no other company what can replace Big Finish.
And the Big Finish panel discussion at Gallifrey 1 was amazing. Sue and Nick and Jason Hay Ellery, and then a voice actress who had done the voice of Gideon and Legends of Tomorrow. It was those four people were at the Big Finish panel discussion at Gallifrey 1, and they answered questions from the audience, and it's all on the podcast. So go listen to the podcast from Gallifrey 1. Things that were discussed were their future plans, were they answered questions about the Gallifrey series, and they answered a lot of questions. And so please go listen to that podcast.
Cool.
Yep. And thanks all of you fellas for coming and for listening to River Song. It was fun. When I was in Gallifrey 1, I went as the 11th Doctor, and I had my friend Patty did a brilliant cosplay as River Song. So we were 11 and River running around, and in answer to the question, which doctors were she thinking about? My theory on that was that she wanted 11 and 12 for some remarkable reasons.
Yeah.
All right. And in honor of Katie Manning was really interested in what we were doing, and so I told her that I've been listening to a lot of Iris Wildtime, so I think that we should do some Iris Wildtime audios and maybe add them in next week. We could do any number of Iris Wildtime. She did a Reloaded series, which is like 8 audios long. So I mean, we're gonna have to choose one, but let's do some Iris Wildtime, okay?
Well, they're all half hour. They're all half-hour stories. It's 8 half-hour stories, so it's not
That's
not overwhelming. But you could just pick one or two if you wanted to. So,
yeah.
you.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, and leave comments below what you think of River Song. Who were the 2 doctors that you thought that she would end up with? Mine were 11 and 12, and or who she thought was dreaming about, and also do keep listening to Big Finish and find the podcast and enjoy. And thanks for listening to Geeks Assembled and watching us, and do keep watching us, and tell your friends to subscribe and give us a watch. Thanks. Bye-bye.